On February 19th, former South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol was found guilty on charges of insurrection related to his declaration of martial law in December 2024. Now, this in itself is quite remarkable, but what's also really important to consider is what this says about Korean politics today. There's a few things that are worth noting. First, what's really interesting is how this proceeded institutionally over the past year. The Korean National Assembly voted for impeachment in December 2024, shortly after the martial law declaration. And then in April 2025, the Korean Constitutional Court upheld that decision. What's really remarkable, though, is that even though the country is relatively young democracy at 40 years old, and many Koreans have lived through a dictatorship period, the decision to impeach and later prosecute Yoon Suk Yeol was not unanimously supported across the country. In fact, it's really sharply divided across ideological and partisan lines. After the impeachment was upheld in April last year, 57% of South Koreans were found to have supported it and 37% opposed. And what's remarkable, if you look at this data, it's very sharply divided along partisan lines. This is really remarkable if we contrast it to 2017, which is the last time a South Korean president was impeached. At that time, it was much more generally supported to impeach Park Geun-hye over her charges of corruption. At the time, 70% of South Koreans supported the impeachment decision. What's interesting, too, is that we're seeing continued polarization in South Korean society. This is a trend that's been going on in Korean history for decades, but it's really divided. In fact, according to Pew Research, South Koreans report feeling the most polarized in the world, second only to the United States. The second thing that's important about Yoon's impeachment and the prosecution of him and his allies over the past year is how Yoon has emerged as a figurehead for an emerging far-right movement in South Korea. They're seeking to defend and restore him to leadership, but Yoon is unable to serve since he's already been found guilty on charges of obstructing justice, falsifying documents, and now insurrection. So right now, the party is in a difficult place because it's left with the people who want to defend their symbolic leader, but they don't have anybody that's able to step into the mantle of leadership. So going forward, we need to watch how the Conservative Party in South Korea decides to go forward. Does it decide to rally around a new figurehead? We're seeing this unfold right now as party leadership has been rapidly changing in the past month or so, and different party leaders are seeing different visions for the future. At the same time, local grassroots organizations around the country are rallying around a Stop the Steal type movement in South Korea, using both English and Korean Stop the Steal to indicate that they feel like their former president and their party has been wronged of election seats in the past.